Hey guys, welcome back to In the Alley. My name is Cody. This morning, we're going to be previewing the Sunday afternoon games, 3 of them on the docket. Let's not waste any time. Timestamps are here as usual. Pick your favorite team, watch the whole thing. Be cool if you watch the whole thing. That's being really cool. Anyway, that being said, let's move on. Tulsa at Quad City. All right, preview number 1 here. 3:05 Central Time, YouTube and Caffeine TV, live from Vibrant Arena at the Mark in Moline, Illinois. The 2-2 Tulsa Oilers travel to the Quad City Steamwheelers, who are also 2-2. So someone here is going to be over 500, and I believe in the driver's seat for the 4th seed in the East right now. Now, 2 different games last week. Quad City with a nice little upset against Massachusetts. Tulsa got shellacked at home. So who wants it more here? That's going to be a big question. Is Tulsa coming into this game with a chip on their shoulder and want to prove something? Quad City with a nice win. Do they want to continue those winning ways? Something's got to give, it seems. Looking at the season leaders here for both teams, Daniel Smith leading rushing and passer. Over 600 yards of total offense for the guy, 14 total touchdowns between the two with just 2 picks. Not a good game for him last week, but he played Frisco. They came out hungry, ready to prove something themselves. Alexis Rosario, 21 catches, 208 yards, 6 touchdowns. You see down below, he is my player to watch. We'll just get into that. 6 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown against Frisco last week. Look for more of the same. We'll talk 25-man rosters here in a second, but Josh Crockett's out with a leg injury. He's going to be out for an extended period of time. You're going to have to rely on Alexis Rosario here in order to maintain that offensive firepower that Tulsa's trying to get into. On the defensive side of the ball for the Oilers, Noah Lyles and Jordan Jones, say that 5 times fast, I guess, both got kicked out of the game last week. So we'll see how they bounce back in this game. I don't think there's an extra suspension or anything like that. So going into that, I think both of them look poised to rebound and, like I said, come out ready to prove something here. 16 tackles, 6.5 for a loss, and 4 sacks for Lyles. 22 tackles, 1 for a loss, and 1 pass breakup for Jones. Trey Harvey in that secondary, 22 tackles, 2 for a loss, 1 pick, and 1 pass breakup. Tulsa's defense is going to be relied upon here. It is stingy. It didn't look that way against Frisco. Frisco is kind of on another planet with Massachusetts right now in the East. We'll see what the Tulsa Oilers defense can do to rebound against a Quad City offense that is still finding their footing, but they seem to be on the right path. Speaking of the Steamwheelers, Judd Erickson, he came in. He wasn't the starter last week. 468 yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 picks on the season. Not a bad little stint. He had to come in. Mike Irwin, I believe, is hurt. Again, we'll talk about that in the 25-man roster. Edward Vander, 30 carries, 174 yards, and 7 touchdowns. He is my player to watch on the offensive side for Quad City. We'll talk about that. 10 rushes, 92 yards, and 3 touchdowns. They've got the running game going. I want to see more of the running game. It's going to be tough against this Tulsa defense, but at the same time, if you can get that running game going, that opens up the passing game. Kevin Rudd, 14 catches, 150 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Jared Harrington, Karan Ashley, they're getting that passing game going. It's going to have the run open it up for them. Vander, not to be just complicit on one side of the ball, 2.5 tackles, 1 for a loss, and 1 sack last week. Him and Raheem Harvey played defense a little bit in the game. Worked out, it seemed. Speaking of the defense, Keyshawn Moore, 16 tackles, 4.5 for a loss, 1 sack, and 1 block kick. DJ Morgan fitting right in the linebacker role. And Malik Duncan, 16.5 tackles, 1 for a loss, 2 pass breakups, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. He is my player to watch on defense for Quad City. 3 tackles, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery against the Pirates last week. He's going to have to step up in the rest of that secondary too. They're kind of missing Darian Jackson, but with what they've signed, what they've brought in, it's been formidable. You got to stop the passing game of Tulsa. Easier said than done here, but with Josh Crockett's injury, we'll see what they can do. You look at the series history here, tied at 1, Tulsa 56-35, Week 18 at Tulsa last year. bumped Quad City down to the 4 seed. But in this game, Steamwheelers favored by 7. A money line is juiced to them, over under of 82.5. That being said, let's go check out the 25-man roster. We'll look at our best bet, move on with preview number 2. All right, 25-man roster here, and not a lot of changes on either side, to be brutally honest with you. Like I said, Josh Crockett hurt. We'll see who slides into that wide receiver spot, if it's going to be Travell Calvin, if they kind of bring someone over. I'm not sure. Rosters for me, I write everything down Friday afternoon, depending on when the game plays. This is what I saw for Tulsa. They might have signed someone else. I can't tell you for certain. Defensive lineman Trey Smalls was signed last week, got him on the roster there. Other than that, there's not really much else to look at. It's probably going to be on Calvin to step up there in Crockett's absence, and we'll see what Tulsa can do. They might have to throw Daniel Smith as a wide receiver like Arizona's done with Garrett Kettle. I have no idea, but we'll see. We'll see. On the Quad City side, they have signed Dominion Azinwa. I'm not sure if it's a trade with Tucson. They've already traded with Tucson with Mike Kerrigan and Malik Owens, so I don't know if this is just a second half player to be considered later kind of thing, or if it was just we're going to release him and you sign him. Other than that, not really much else on the Quad City side. There's your 25-man rosters. We'll see what happens. Obviously, none of this is set in stone. Let's go check out our best bet, and we'll move on with preview number 2. All right, best bet, Quad City, -7. I like what Quad City's done. A nice little upset against Massachusetts. I know Mike Irwin started the last game. Judd Erickson filled in just fine. I think he filled in just fine. Maybe he was a little pissed that he got benched. He played well. Edward Vander looked really good running the ball as well. The defense kind of stepped up when they needed to. Special teams stepped up when they needed to. Quad City, if they can win this game, they can get on a little bit of a roll here. Question I have to raise, though, is how good is Quad City and Tulsa actually? Offense leaves a little bit to be desired. Quad City in the lower half when it comes to offensive statistics. Tulsa is the 8th best passing offense. Now, when you look at yards allowed, Quad City is the number 1 passing defense. Their rushing defense isn't that good. Tulsa's rush defense isn't that good. It's 13th in terms of yards allowed, but their pass defense is really good. So that's why I'm saying Quad City needs to get the running game going. They have a chance. I think Vander, if Erickson can get his legs moving a little bit too, look for some jet sweeps by Harrington, Rudd, Ashley, whoever they want to throw in there. Both teams kind of suck on third down. They're 14th on third down conversions. At least Tulsa is. Quad City 14th in penalties. They're not that good. Or actually, they're actually pretty good. I take that back. 14th is good. I just have -7. I think a home game, fans behind you, Tulsa has to travel. What's going through their heads after a big loss? It could be a trap game, but I think I've got Quad City here. Maybe 8 points. We're going to be sweating this one, but -7 Quad City. Let's move on to preview number 2. All right, preview number 2, 5:05 Central Time, YouTube and Caffeine TV, live from the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. The 0-4 Jacksonville Sharks at the 2-3 Arizona Rattlers. Sharks still looking for their first win on the season. Rattlers with a nice win against Iowa last week. We'll see what happens. You look at the passing leaders for both of these teams, and they aren't the starters right now. That just kind of shows you how the offenses have been. Lorenzo Brown, he started the last couple of games. Garrett Kettle came in last week against Iowa. Dalton Snead's now back, so it's just a quarterback carousel for the Rattlers. Same thing with Jacksonville. Connor Blunt, I believe, is still injured. Fred Payton, you see he's the leading rusher. He did that in one game. Fred Payton, I believe, is going to take over the reins right now for the foreseeable future until either Blunt comes back or if they ride the hot hand. But rushing leader Fred Payton did it in one game. He is my player to watch. 14 of 25, 137 yards, 3 touchdowns, 11 rushes, 52 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. You needed them. You were going up against the juggernaut that is the Vegas Nighthawks, It looked good in the first quarter, maybe the first half, but wheels kind of fell off there to start the second half last week, and another loss for Jacksonville. I did like what I saw from Peyton. They got the running game going. They looked pretty good. It's just you ran into a buzzsaw, unfortunately. We'll see what they can do to rebound here. You have to travel across the country. Dare I say they could be 0-5, and you didn't expect that from them or really a couple of other teams right now who are still winless. Tamarian Terry, I don't believe, played in the game last week. 10 catches, 140 yards, and 1 touchdown. He might be back this week. I'm not sure. We'll talk about that in the 25-man roster. Defensively, Ulrich Jones, 7.5 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 sack, 5 pass breakups as a defensive lineman. He's getting those hands up there. 1 blocked kick. Sir Zion Dance, 15 tackles, 2 for a loss, and 1 fumble recovery. He slotted in nicely at that linebacker position. I expect a little bit more of the same from him this week. He's just fitting in nicely. Harrison Poole, tackle machine, 26.5 tackles, 2 for a loss, and 4 pass breakups. My defensive player to watch, though, is Jabari Gorman. He got kicked out of the game. I believe Jonathan Collins did too for Vegas, but on the Jacksonville side, only 2 tackles, 1 pass breakup. You just wonder what he could have done had he stayed in the game. Him, Poole, Ham, Murray, they're all going to have to deal with the passing game. Dalton Snead coming back. Glenn Gibbons Jr. is still leading everything in the receiving categories. You're probably, I don't know if I think Isaiah Houston is still hurt, but regardless, you still have to deal with Jamal Miles, Glenn Gibbons. They both had some pretty good games. You have to stop Shannon Brooks. The offense is starting to find its footing for Arizona. So I look for that secondary of Jacksonville. They have to step up here, shut down at least one part of Arizona's facets, and see if you can make them run the ball here. See what you can do to pressure Dalton Snead, disrupt his timing. It's his first game back in a couple of weeks. Really get after him, make him uncomfortable. Simple as that. On the Arizona side, Shannon Brooks, player to watch. 14 rushes, 81 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 catches, 40 yards, and another touchdown. He was pretty much the offense. Jamal Miles was catching everything in his path last week. He was taking off and running. He had a couple of great touchdowns himself. Shannon Brooks, though, to control the pace, control the tempo, really run guys' offense here, he's got to be the guy. No pun intended. But Shannon Brooks coming back from his own injury, Arizona getting healthy at the right time, it seems. You got to be able to take the heat off of Dalton Snead. Run the ball, gain the first downs, be that safety valve out of the backfield. Shannon Brooks has to put the weight of the world on his shoulders. Not necessarily, but he's got to take some heat off of Dalton Snead here, ease him into the game. We'll see what happens. But not bad for him. Glenn Gibbons Jr., like I said, leading every category in receiving. You see his stats right there. Over 300 yards catching, 10 total touchdowns. Defensively, Harold Love, no longer on the roster. He's been cut. Connor Taylor, 22 tackles, 2.5 for a loss, 1 pick, 1 fumble recovery, 1 blocked kick. It just kind of shows you, going back to this, it just kind of shows you how bad the defensive line for Arizona has been, since Harold Love is still your leading tackler, and I believe he is not going to play. Obviously, he's not going to play in this game. He didn't play in the last game either. He's missed 2 games. He is still your leading tackler and everything on the defensive line side. So, not good for the defensive line. Connor Taylor's fitting right in. More of the same. Pressure the quarterback, get after him, just disrupt everything, be that guy that Arizona needs defensively. Jermaine Dobbs, 22.5 tackles, 4 pass breakups. I'm not sure what the wide receiving core looks like this week for Jacksonville. Dobbs, I believe they're getting back. Oh my God, are they getting back Winfrey or Merriweather? I think they're getting back Winfrey. We'll talk about that in a second. That secondary has to step up, though. Rashi Hodge needs to play. Dobbs, I am forgetting who number 24, Amari Alexander needs to step up in that one too. Secondary needs to get after this passing game for the Sharks. They cannot let Jacksonville settle in. Defensive player to watch, Savin Lowry, 2.5 tackles, half a tackle for a loss and 1 block kick. Again, defensive line needs to disrupt it. They need to get after the offensive line, make Fred Payton, if he is the starter, uncomfortable. Just the reverse side from Jacksonville to Arizona. If you can get after the quarterback early, often, really make him uncomfortable, I think you have a chance to win this game. Series history, they haven't played since 2016 in the Arena Football League. Arizona leads at 7-1, with the last game being 69-67 in favor of Arizona. Almost 14 points for Arizona as a favorite. Money line is locked over under 81.5. So let's go take a look at our 25-man rosters. Got quite a bit to talk about there. Look at our bet. Move on, preview number 3. All right. 25-man rosters here. I'll start with Arizona. Theirs is a little bit easier. I did not see Jalen Perkins on the roster. Doesn't mean that he's not playing. He wasn't on the roster last week either, and he was in there, so we'll see what happens in that regard. I did see, reading Arizona Central, Christopher Martinez is out for the year. He's down there on the reserve side. I do believe, like I said, I do believe they get Dylan Winfrey back. Dalton Snead's going to be back. I'm not really sure what else you can kind of say in that regard. Isaiah Houston, I believe, is still hurt. We'll see what happens with the reserves and stuff. But I expect a little bit of the same when it comes to the starters here for Arizona. We'll just kind of see. What goes on in that regard. Moving over to the Jacksonville side, Anthony Johnson not on the defensive line. I didn't see him on the roster. Might be cut. Which means you're probably either going to put Anthony Hayes in there or Nick Grant. Maybe Munoz slides up there. I'm not sure. But they have signed quite a few players. DJ Stubbs, Chase Lassiter, Lionel Wiggins. I believe Wiggins was with Quad City in their training camp last year. But yeah, I expect a little bit more of the same in that regard too for Jacksonville. They're just kind of feeling stuff out, going with the flow. Dare I say, plugging and playing. We'll see if Tamarian Terry, Isaiah Johnson, if they slide into wide receiving spots. Otherwise, I liked what I saw from Jeremiah Payton last week. It was a nice Payton-to-Payton connection. I believe he scored 2 or 3 touchdowns of his own. Cam Solomon got, I believe, a touchdown or 2 as well. We'll see what happens. I do think Jacksonville needs to get the running game going a little bit more in this one. But there's your 25-man rosters. Let's go check out our bet. Move on with preview number 3. All right, best bet, over 81.5. You're asking both these teams to score 40 points. I'm not sold on either defense. Arizona just put up 49 of their own. Jacksonville, they kind of score around that range. It's going to be a little bit of a sweat as well, but I think with what I've seen with Jacksonville's offense, they are pretty good. They are able to actually move the ball down the field, which you might not have been able to say in the last couple of weeks, but I do like what I'm seeing from Jacksonville's offense. They're figuring it out. Dalton Snead coming back, dare I say, makes Arizona's offense look just as good as they were to start the season when they put up 51 against Northern Arizona. I do like what I've seen from Jamal Miles. Glenn Gibbons will always get his catches. It just depends on the health of Dalton Snead. 81.5 is kind of a low number. When you look at these offenses, you would have sat there and gone, there's no way 81.5 is the betting number when you looked at this to start the season. But I do like over 81.5. You're only asking for 42 points for each team. I could see that. Dare I say easily. I don't trust these defenses. That being said, I still think we're going to sweat this one out. Let's go take a look at preview number 3. A little recap, and we'll get on out of here. All right. 5:05 Central Time, YouTube and Caffeine TV. The Pechanga Arena in San Diego, California. The 4-0 Bay Area Panthers at the San Diego Strikeforce 3-1. Hey, this is familiar, isn't it? Why, yes, it is, random person I'm creating in my head. These two teams are just flip-flopped. They're now in San Diego, but they did play last week. Amazing. To take a look at the stat leader, I'm sorry, that was so corny. I apologize, that was stupid. I got to make light in some way. Taking a look at the season stat leaders for both teams. Nate Davis, we'll start with San Diego. Nate Davis, 560 yards, 15 touchdowns, only 2 picks. Chance Bell, 31 carries, 122 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Arthur Jackson, 16 catches, 210 yards, 8 touchdowns. The offense looks all right. I think Nate Davis is going to be the starter. I know they started Rudy Johnson for a couple of drives in the last game. I think Davis is just going to take over for the entire game this time. He is my player to watch. 13 of 17, 141 yards, 4 touchdowns. He only missed 4 passes. I guess, in relief duty. I don't know what you want to call that. He just came in and took over the game. Defensively, Jaquan Artis, 12 tackles, 5.5 for a loss. Sherrod Williams, 26 tackles, 2 for a loss, 1 sack, 1 fumble recovery, 1 block kick. And Justice King, 18.5 tackles, half a tackle for a loss, 2 picks, 1 pass breakup. However, I'm going with Austin Evans. He is my player to watch, defensive back. I'm not sure who the quarterback's going to be for Bay Area. We'll talk about that later. But 7 tackles, 1 pick, 2 pass breakup for Evans. Pretty good. I think he's only, I don't know if this was his first start. I have to look back at it. But regardless, started last game. He looked good. If he started in the previous games, I mean, he's kind of finding his footing, finding his rhythm, whatever you want to say. He looked good. These two teams are playing each other again. I think that's going to boost a little bit of his confidence and say, hey, I went out and did this. Let's see if we can replicate it. On the Bay Area side, DeQuan Neal still leading in rushing and passing, even though Felix Harper has started the last game. Pierre Williams, I don't think has been in the last couple of games himself. I believe he is hurt. 15 catches, 173 yards, and 1 touchdown for him. My player to watch, though, if he plays. This is an if. I'm not sure if they're going to bring in Shane Simpson as kind of an okey doke of, you saw Anderson, now you get to see Shane Simpson. Stafford Anderson, 20 rushes, 72 yards, 2 touchdowns, only 1 catch for 5 yards. Like I said, he is my player to watch. If it is truly Shane Simpson that's coming in, I don't know. I don't have any insider information. But Anderson looked good. Bay Area determined to run the ball as they always are. I look for the running game to be there. If they suit both of them up, more the merrier, I guess. But I look for Anderson to have a good game. Otherwise, if Simpson's in there, I kind of see the same thing for Simpson. Maybe another 70-yard gain. He's been kind of lighting it up for the Panthers. We'll see. Defensively for Bay Area, Tavon Grant, Wes Bowers, Antoine Kincaid. You need a microscope for Kincaid. He is my player to watch when you look at his stat lines. 8 tackles, 1 for a loss, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 touchdown. He's everywhere. His season, I got to look closely at this. His season stats, 31 tackles, 2.5 for a loss, half a sack, 1 pick, 2 pass breakups, 2 fumble recoveries, and a touchdown. That's good. That's really good. He's everywhere, man. I know some of those tackles, I believe, are on special teams as well, but he's getting after it. He is just always around. I didn't expect him to be the defensive guy on the secondary, but he has shown out. He is broken through. He's going to have to play some defense here against Arthur Jackson, Isaiah Cox, all of the wide receiving core. They do throw it to Bell out of the backfield as well, so Kincaid has to keep being a tackling machine here for Bay Area. They can't let up. They almost let San Diego win the game. Talk about that here really quick. Bay Area leads 4-1 in the series history. Game last week, 53-50, Bay Area won. Again, it took a last-minute drive by Bay Area to win that game. Seriously, if you haven't watched this game, go watch it. Take your time right now, go watch it. Amazing game. Panthers favored by 3 points. Imagine that. Bay Area favored on the money line, an over-under of 94.5. Let's go talk 25-man rosters. Bet. We'll recap. All right, 25-man rosters. Not really much to report on the San Diego side. They kind of keep it close to the vest there. Friday rosters, this is what I got. We'll see. We'll see if anyone comes off injured reserve, if they've got anyone coming in. Otherwise, maybe expect more of the same. Main question I have on the Bay Area side, though, is who starts at quarterback? Does Felix Harper get another start? He's looked all right. Or do they bring in DeQuan Neal? I'm not sure. Running back as well, Stafford Anderson, Shane Simpson. Who takes it? Other than that, I just kind of expect more of the same on the defensive side of the ball. I think Wes Bowers might still be hurt. They did bring in Darren Hungerford on the linebacking side and Taron Adams on the defensive backside. Sorry, still immature. Anyway, they brought those guys in. I just kind of see more of the same from last week's game, high-scoring affair. We'll just see what goes on. But those are my main questions, quarterback and running back for Bay Area. Mainly it's quarterback for San Diego. Hey, just like it was last week too. So let's go take a look at our bet, and we will move on. All right, best bet, money line for Bay Area. I don't trust the spread. I know the over-under might be towards the over just based on the 103 points they put up last week. But I think with a week of playing each other, I don't trust the under either, man. This one's a tough spread to or a tough line to really gauge out. So I'm just gonna kind of go with the favorite here. Might be playing it a little bit cheap, but minus 148, that's some decent odds. I know it's in San Diego. I still like Bay Area to shut them down. You needed Nate Davis to come in. I'm just curious to see what Bay Area does. Doesn't shock me if San Diego wins, I'll be honest, but take the money line, take the favorite right there, and Bay Area minus 148. Let's go take a look at our quick little recap, or preview recap, whatever, and we will get on out of here. All right, quick little recap here, and just like Saturday, I don't have Aaron's IFL corner, so what more can be said for some of these games? I guess I'll just rapid fire these off and make it quick and simple so we can get on with the preview. Game number 1, I have Quad City winning 45-35. Like I've said in their preview, I think they do just enough. I think they're happy, motivated to get another win. I think they're ready to maybe take a next step, however big that step is going to be. Tulsa looks a little lost. Can they regroup? I don't think it's this week. I think Quad City wins it by 10. Could be wrong. I think Quad City does win it by 10, though. I think that running game is starting to get going. Game number 2. I've got Arizona winning. I have it close here. I have it 8 points, but 52-44. That's being kind of generous with Arizona, or with Jacksonville scoring some points, but I do think Arizona is going to score some points here. Dalton Snead coming back. He had a knee injury. They got to protect him. That offensive line has to protect. That defense has to get after Jacksonville. On the flip side, I do like what Jacksonville's been able to do offensively. They've only scored 30 points last week, or a little over 30 points against Vegas. I don't know. I might be a crapshoot here. I've got Arizona at least winning the game, hopefully hitting the over. We'll see. But I've got kind of a high-scoring affair. It might not be that high-scoring. I think Jacksonville maybe can take advantage of the defense. That's really my main thing there. Game number 3, I've got Bay Area winning, and I forgot to switch these around because San Diego's the home team. But I got Bay Area winning 54-48. More of the same. I think Bay Area kind of learned their lesson. Maybe got caught off guard a little bit, and it was a wacky way to start the game for both teams with fumble recovery in the end zone. Rudy Johnson with a blown play up the middle for a touchdown. Pick sixes, whatever. I just, maybe not a pick six, I can't remember. But yeah, just a wacky game. I expect some high scoring here, maybe not so much wackiness, but I think Bay Area gets the job done. 54-48, almost the same score as last week. I think Bay Area does just enough to win by almost a touchdown. So there it is. There's the previews for the 3 Sunday games. I got to go grocery shop, edit this video, and do all of that stuff. Until then, guys, like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill, all of that stuff. Timestamps and everything will be included in the beginning. That being said, I'm taking off here. Let's enjoy Sunday afternoon with our 3 games. We'll look forward to week 8. I'll get the recaps out momentarily. That being said, I'm taking off. See ya.